point in life where you gotta learn to keep it moving. And what I mean by that is, you can't look at a problem, you gotta look through a problem. You see, the minute you stop, you're dying.
Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Like and subscribe. UK boxing group, let's talk boxing. Well, I'm just plugging the channel at the minute really, so it's another video, quick turnaround. I've had plenty of positive feedback, so it's much appreciated, people, for the views and the subscribers. I'm so grateful, thank you very much. Hopefully we can keep growing this channel, and you never know, see where it goes. So we'll get to tonight's topics. It's the big fight Saturday at featherweight over here in the UK. It's Lee Wood, Josh Warrington. A very good fight, I think, personally. Very interested. Yeah, excited. You know, it is what it is. It's a good British domestic clash. It's going to be tasty. Both fighters have done it the hard way, in my opinion. Both fighters two-time world champions. Well, where do we start? You know, Lee Wood. What a ride, you know. Where's the kid come from? Really, he looked writ off at one point. I think back in about, was it 2014 when he got stopped by Gavin McDonnell. You know, and I think that was super bantamweight as well. So, you know, at that point you just thought, you're getting started to think of the success he's gone on to have. It's crazy. So you just got to take your hat off and respect that from Lee Wood. And the run he's been on is unreal. Fantastic run. Is as well, what I like with Lee Wood is always seems to be the underdog. The kid's got a lot of heart. He's a true warrior, and I think he's improved massively. Since he's linked up with Ben Davison. I know Ben Davison, as we call him, boxer size Ben, but I rate Ben Davison. I like Ben Davison. I like the way he talks, the way he comes across, his views on boxing, and he's definitely improved Lee Wood. With Lee Wood, you know, it's, like I say, the run he's been on. You know, he got beat against Jezza Dickens, I think, was it, back in 2020, and you just thought, well, where's he going to go from here? And then he went on to get a run of fights going. I think Reese Mould stopped him in the 9th, which, you know, was a good win at the time. And then he got the big fight where he was a massive underdog against, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Can Zhu. You know, no one gave him a chance. He was a huge underdog in that fight. And he absolutely boxed his ears off. Dropped him, I think, is the first man to drop him. And got the victory, you know, went against all odds. So that alone was very impressive. And to win the world title, you know, it was unbelievable. And then he goes into the Conlon fight straight off the back of that, where a big atmosphere, fantastic fight. The atmosphere on the TV, I only watched it on the TV, so I couldn't imagine being there at the venue, you know. But it was unreal. At times in that fight, I thought he was getting outclassed. The way he took that heavy knockdown, I believe it was the first round, wasn't it? Could be possibly wrong, maybe it was the same, but I'm sure it was the first. I thought, wow, you know, and Conlon was seemed to be taking him to school. And then he bit down on the gum shield and just little by little chipping away at Conlon, chipping away, you know, and finally he got there, and that was an amazing stoppage. It was just frightening, wasn't it, at the time, you know, 12th round, it was a close fight, everything was on the line. Maybe Conlon was just edging it, but Lee Wood had got himself back into the fight, and you could see Conlon was fading down the stretch, but he's still in control, and he just flattened him up against the ropes. I remember seeing Conlon fly out the ring, and I thought, I was just blown away by that, and it was so impressive. It really was. And that's when I've just thought, this kid, you've just got to admire him. You really have. And then he goes on and takes another huge challenge, Lara, the kind of bogeyman at the time, after his devastating knockout of Josh Warrington, who was facing on Saturday. And it was a brutal knockout, and many didn't fancy Lee Wood again. And he actually impressed me in the fight, even though he lost by knockout. He was boxing very well that night against Lara in the first fight, and it happens. He got caught, and that was that. And I think Ben Davison, people at the time, said, was it the right call to not give Lee Wood the benefit of the doubt, maybe to see if he could carry on, see if he could regroup, get his senses back. But he lived to fight another day, and he proved he come back. He fought Lara again, straight up, rematch. Unfortunately, Lara was undisciplined and coming overweight, but it was still there, the title was still on the line, and it was still a tough job. And at the time, you think, well, if Lara's got the advantage of his heavy, then he actually should be of the 126. I forgot what he weighed, but I know he was well over the limit. So he was questioning, will that be more dangerous for Lee Wood? Should Lee Wood still be taking this fight? But he went ahead, he showed balls, he went in there, he put on a great performance. It really was. He boxed Lara's ears off for the full fight this time, and he won on a majority decision, and again, it's just that run Lee Wood's been on, you've just got to put respect to that, you really have. It's great to see a kid do well like that. He's a nice fella, he comes across genuine, respectful, likeable man. And he's a likeable fighter. He's good to watch. You get what you get with him. You get a fight. He comes to fight. And that's Lee Wood for you. So on to his opponent, Josh Warrington. I've always liked Josh Warrington. From the early days, he come to my hometown of Hull, and fought a kid called Sami Mohammadi. I think it was for the English title at the time, and he won. I think he was the underdog in that fight, the away fighter, and he won convincingly. He boxed his head off, and from there it seemed to take off. It really did, and he went on to win the British. I think it was Rendell Monroe. I had 100% on that, but he went on some run, and he started getting a big fan base from Leeds. The following he got was really big, and it was special atmospheres again. He's got a really good fan base, and I've seen a lot of potential in in Josh Warrington. And then the likes of the Selby fight come along, and Martinez, was it first? Martinez? Martinez. He got a good win there against Martinez. And then the Selby fight come along. And at the time, Selby was very highly rated, especially over here in the UK. Was expected to beat Josh Warrington comfortably. I picked Josh Warrington to win that fight. I had fully belief that Josh Warrington had the work rate, the pressure fighter he is, just to outwork him. And that was the case, and as I say, he was like I'm sure 3-1 underdog, and he won that fight against Lee Selby when many picked Lee Selby to beat him. So you've got to take your hat off there, and he became the IBF World Champion, for the first time that night, and then he went on to fight Frampton. Now Frampton had probably had his eyes of his career by then, but was still fighting at a very high level, was still very respected, and I think a lot of people favoured Frampton. I ain't sure if he was the favourite, but I think he might have been. But again, Carl Frampton, very highly respected fighter, as I say, his achievements, it's there to see if you know your boxing. Carl Frampton, fantastic boxer. And again, Josh Warrington, he went on to beat him on points not just beat him in a fantastic fight. What a fight that was! It was like maybe contender of the year for fight of the year. So another fantastic win there from Josh Warrington, and then I think it was Kid Galahad, which was, I think Josh maybe went in a slight favourite. That was an ugly fight. I don't think down to Josh, more so Kid Galahad made it ugly, made it tough, but that's Kid Galahad's style. That's the way he fights, and I think he frustrated Josh. And it was like the old saying goes, styles make fights, and maybe Galahad was just the wrong style. It was, like I say, it was an ugly fight. One you'll go back and watch again. I don't think, but he got the decision. I believe on the night I did actually feel Kid Galahad did enough just to win it, but it was close. It was tight. But it's one of them. It's another good win, and like I say, both fighters have come up hard way really, and both fighters' accomplishments are fantastic. Both two-time world champions. You go back to Josh Warrington's last fight, where it was maybe, I think that's what plays a factor in this fight activity. I think it was nearly a year ago now, against Lopez, who is now, if you know, he's touted Ali. He's the guy who annihilated Conlon, sparked Conlon clean out. He's a never-ended. I think he is a Mexican, and that was a close fight. Early, Josh seemed to be getting a bit of a pasting, but as the fight grew, he seemed to grow back into the fight and pull it back and scrape his way back into it. And I think you could have give that to Josh Warrington. So as you look at it like now, people's perspective, this Lopez is the killer of the division. He's like highly rated now, really highly rated. But Josh ran him close. So the opinion of what people have is Josh shot. Is going off that? You've got to think it looks pretty good now. He lost, but he ran him really close, and look what where Lopez ended up going on to do with Conlon. So it's one of them with Josh. I feel he's still got something to offer, but the same with Lee Wood. I wouldn't write him off. It's a really hard fight for me to predict, really, this one, because I'm really in two minds with Lee Wood's art, determination, the improvement Lee Wood's made, because he showed me in the Lara fight he can actually box well, so whether he'll able to outbox Josh Warrington, I think that's a possibility. But then can Warrington match it and come back with his weight rate and pressure and put it on? Lee Wood, it's one, like I say, it's a difficult one to predict. I know a lot of people don't like Josh Warrington, and that is what it is. I don't mind the fella. I think he's a decent kid, but that all goes out the window. So my prediction I will make later on in the week, because like I say, I'm still in two minds. Like there's so many scenarios what are going in my head at the moment, but it's a good fight, and it's one, if you're watching this video, tune into it. I think you'll enjoy it. I really do, as a boxing fan. I think it's a good domestic UK fight for a world title, and it's a chance for Josh Warrington to become a three-time world champion. Now that alone is very impressive, so you definitely got to put respect on Josh's name if you haven't already, which you should have in my opinion. To become world champion 3 times, it's a hell of an achievement to do it once, never mind 3 times. So it's a great fight, one I'm looking forward to. They're both similar in height, similar in reach. It's really tough. It really is. It's a really tough fight to call. So I'll do a video later in the week with a final prediction on that, which I feel I'm gonna struggle with. But we'll have to see. Um, what else can I've got really? I do have a few other topics. The cruiserweight, as I mentioned on the last video, Jai Apatea, wow, how impressed I was with him. The demolition job he did on Saturday night on the DAZN against, was it Jordan Thompson? Big guy, you know, if you've seen that fight yet, wow, he absolutely destroyed him. It was a demolition job. He looks so dangerous. As I said in my previous video, I don't think there's a cruiserweight out there who gets near him, never man beats him. But I think he's done himself, as good as with a performance like that, he's done himself no favours. I don't think people are going to want to mix it with him, you know, the other champions, especially with two of the champions. Well, not champions. Bellum Smith is now the WBO champion, and he's got, I think, penciled in rematch with Okoli. So I think they want to keep that WBO strap in the boxer on Sky Sports. I don't see him wanting to do business with his own. I don't see it. I think he'll be avoided there. I think he absolutely destroys Bellum Smith. I really do. I think he destroys the Source or Coley. Not against them guys. I like the guys, but I think this Jai Apatea is on another level. There's another guy, I think is Gulamarin. I ain't sure about him. He seems maybe the better option out of the three champions. I ain't sure if Battle Jack still holds the WBC or he's vacated it, but again, Battle Jack's at that age, he must be pushing on 40, possibly 41. And he gets absolutely destroyed. So Battle Jack ain't going to go nowhere near him. Whoever gets the shot at the WBC, maybe that's the option. If it becomes vacant, he can get the fight for that and put his RBF on the line at the same time. But with Jai, it is. I think you've got to take him maybe back down under, get him fighting there, get his status higher, you know, and unless the big fights come along, and then put him on the road, of course. But I think he's going to be an avoided fighter for the time being, unless the money's really right, and I don't think it's going to generate just right now. I think there's a building process to be done there. Not personally as him as a fighter to progress, because I think he's the finished product. I think he's just got everything. He's a southpaw. He's a pressure fighter. He can keep the range, the distance, and he can bang. And he fires shots from every angle. And like I say, he's the highlight of my weekend, really. I was, Canelo Charles was a bit of a flop, bit of a ball fest, really. No taking that away from Canelo, that's down to Charlo. Canelo did what he had to do, as I said in my last video. One thing I forgot to mention, Canelo didn't seem to tire, like we've seen maybe in the last couple of fights. So fair play to Canelo. He did a job, and he's, like I said, he's still a fantastic fighter. He really is, and we'll just have to see what happens with Canelo. Like I was talking the Bud Crawford situation, but I put it out there on the boxing Facebook group, UK boxing group. What should Canelo? Who should he fight next? Or does he fight Jamal, the older brother of Jamal? Does he fight Crawford? But Crawford is tied up, which I've slipped my mind in my last video. So he seems to be tied up with Spence if that fight, which I don't think should happen. I don't think Spence should take that fight. I think he needs time away to reassess, regroup, and heal, basically, mentally and physically. That was a beat down and a half in the first fight. So, but as I say, it looks like Spence has reactivated the rematch clause, so Bud might be tied up there. But Canelo, I personally, I'd love to see the Bud fight, as a spectacle. But Benavidez, just to shut everyone up, it's always the same with Canelo, so-called haters, or there's always some guy who is avoiding or whatever. And then in hindsight, he's fought everybody. You know what I mean? And the guy who people say is going to end up being, eventually get the shot, and they come unstuck. And Canelo does the job, and then it's on to the next. So there's one more guy there, and it's David Benavidez, who gets a lot of hype. Now, I do like David Benavidez. He's a good fighter. He's got a lot of skills. He's a pressure fighter. Comes forward, throws shots in numbers. He seems to carry the power, but I don't think he's got the power to stop Canelo. Especially going off his last fight against Plant, where Plant looked exhausted and he still couldn't get Plant out of there. So I don't see him putting a dent in Canelo, not at all. I think Canelo will probably stop him or win comfortably on points. Like I say, I have to make my mind up on it in the future. The fight is to get made, but I don't see Benavidez, the Mexican monster as he's called. I think Canelo's the real Mexican monster. But like I said, Benavidez is a good fighter, but I don't think he's at that level. I don't think he's the guy to beat Canelo. Not 168. So like I say, it's interesting to see who people want to see him fight next, and he seems to be getting the mention the most. So we'll see what happens. It's a good fight for boxing fans. So let's see what happens. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn. Well, Conor Benn, it got scheduled, didn't it? For a while back now, and we all know the situation with Conor Benn and the drug scandal, the ped scandal, and what have you. And I think he's very ill-advised. These advisors went about it totally wrong. Conor Benn went about it totally wrong, and it's totally just dragged out this scenario of Conor Benn. And for me, I think personally, PEDs is a massive thing in the sport. I think a lot of top athletes, elite fighters are cheating, basically using PEDs. Do I agree with it? It is what it is, They're just clever, they know how to not get caught and how to cycle. They know how to get away with it, and either they don't get caught or they don't get caught for a very long time. So it is what it is. But Conor Benn, it's just got messy and it's just dragged out far too long. And now he's saying he's cleared his name. I don't believe he has. Not really. And I think that's why the fight went under the radar a bit. Was it last Saturday over in Miami? They give us a week notice, and I think that was because they got a lot of backlash from that. And now Conor Benn's running his mouth. Now Chris Eubank's coming off a very good win. Impressive, especially after losing to Callum Smith the first time round. And you've got to give credit, people, like you say, was Callum Smith right? It doesn't matter. You get knocked out, you get stopped. So he didn't get knocked out, but he got stopped. He got stopped in a bad way in the first fight. And it mentally, it takes a lot from my perspective, my opinion of boxing, to come back and do the business like Eubank did it. And it was a one-sided beatdown. Callum Smith just didn't get going. Did it look like the normal Callum Smith? No, probably not, but that takes nothing away from Chris Eubank Jr. It was a fantastic performance on the night. He did what he had to do, and he got a very good victory. But now with that out of the way, the Benn Eubank has risen again, and people are on about it. Eddie Hearn's certainly selling it, ramming it down. You throw it again, putting that forward. And is it a fight I really want to see? Yeah, of course. If it made it, you'd get excited about it, but because of who the dads was really in the name. But is it competitive? Is it? I don't know. I don't really feel it is. Conor Benn, for me, hasn't done really too much to shout about. Yeah, he looked impressive on his way up before this scandal, but he was matched and managed very well. And these guys who he did for was well past it. Your Van Erdens, your Chris Algieri's, and who knows, was he doing the old steroids or PEDs? Who knows? But to jump up that level and fight Eubank, at least Eubank's been in there with good fighters. He has come off second best sometimes, but like I said, they've both been a bit career-wise. They've as he was said, he's a charlatan, Eubank, and he is a bit in a way. But like I said, back to the point, I'm getting carried away. Yeah, the point is, Eubank Benn. Is it a fight that's necessary? No. Is it a fight that you probably get excited about if it gets made? Yeah. So it is what it is. With Eubank, I've said in the past, I think he's more interested. As all fighters are making the money, of course, but he's more interested now. His ambition as a fighter is making the bag, making money, instead of really going after the world titles. And you look at the 160 division, it's not the strongest. It's probably the weakest it's been in a long time. You've got Janabek, he's the WBO, Goltiteri, RBF, Alexander Lara, man, he must be getting old in the tooth. He's holding the WBA, and the WBC holding hostage by Jamal Charlo, brother of Jamel, who fought on Saturday against Canelo. So there's fights there for him to, if you possibly give him a good chance, Eubank. But do them fights generate the money what maybe he's after? Because after the Smith fight, he called out the likes of Kell Brook. Was it Triple G? Was it, I forgot, was it Triple G, Kell Brook, and Conor Benn, I think. So, you know what I mean? That shows you where his ambitions are. He knows Triple G is a big payday. He knows Kell Brook is sell over here and make big money. And Conor Benn makes him big money. So is his ambition to become a world champion? Or is it to just secure as much money as he can before he calls it a day? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think he'll go the route. If the Conor Benn fight can get made, I think that's the fight we'll see. But like I say, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And again, that's about it. I'll have to call it a wrap. I hope you enjoyed my video. As I said earlier at the beginning, thank you for the feedback, for the views, for the subscribes. It means a hell of a lot. Much appreciated. So please carry on watching, and please remember to like, subscribe. It's UK Boxing Group. Let's talk boxing with me, Triple D. Over and out. All the best. Catch you soon.